Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brady Jerkin here, and welcome to What I Watched in December. This is approximately the second highest amount of movies I've watched in a single month of 2023, so let's not waste any time and get straight into them. Started the month with Thanksgiving. This was a pretty good horror movie. If you know me, and if you watch my top 10 least favorite movies of 2023, you know I don't really like horror movies that much. I think a lot of them are trash and unoriginal, but you know, this one was pretty good. Eli Roth hasn't really impressed me with a lot of his horror movies that I've seen, but this one was solid. Had good kills, had decent characters that I kind of liked rooting for. It was just a good horror movie. I enjoyed most of it. I then rewatched 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Okay, so all of my What I Watched Decembers in the next coming years are going to be relatively the same because my family and I watch all of the same Christmas movies every single year. So this was the first one we watched. You know, it's fine. It's a cute little charming animation. Nothing special. The songs are fine. I actually like the songs. They're pretty catchy. It's a solid little film. I then watched Nimona. This was a very surprising, really good animated movie. I like Nimona and the other dude as a character. I really liked them and their dynamic and their chemistry that they build up throughout the film. The movie is also absolutely stunning. I like the directions that this movie took, even though it does kind of play out like a pretty average film, but all in all, I liked it. I then watched Renfield. I'm sorry, I just had a blast with this movie. It's so corny and goofy that I just had a really good time with it. It's absolutely violent and gory as holy heck, which I kind of wasn't expecting, but I really enjoyed it. Nick Cage is always just a pleasure to watch, especially him as a vampire. That's always fun. Side characters are good. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I then watched May December. What a movie. This thing has such a haunting and surreal tone that I loved it. It made for a very interesting and unique movie watching experience, and I really liked that. All of the performances were great. You know, Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, they were all good. The story, while based on true events, still felt really original and something that I had not really ever seen before. It was done so well and I really enjoyed this one. Flew by too. I liked it. I then watched Napoleon. Too long. Simply too long. You know, Joaquin Phoenix gives a good performance like he always does. Napoleon is just really long. The scale was absolutely humongous and it made for a very long watch because it kind of stretches his whole life of trying to get to power, and then the downfall of the power. And it's good, just kind of drags at times. I then rewatched Frosty the Snowman. It's Frosty. What do I have to say? It's obviously not aged all that well. I mean, there's so many funky things with this movie, but it's Frosty the Snowman. It's charming. You know what it is. It's fine. I then rewatched How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'm struggling to find words for these Christmas classics because everyone knows these and knows they're great. And I mean, yeah, this is a really cute, charming animated short film. It's nice. I like watching it. It's fun. I then rewatched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer again. Yeah. That's all I have to say. It's Rudolph. It's Rudolph. It's charming, it has cool messages, I like the characters, it's fine, it's just aged not so well. Like seriously, why is everything purple in this movie? Why is every single setting purple? I don't get it. I then watched Inherent Vice. Watch out for the Paul Thomas Anderson ranking that's going to be coming out later this month, or either later this month or early February. I'm hoping to get it out this month, but I have another big video planned for this month, which you'll see later. But I really enjoyed Inherent Vice. Another great Joaquin Phoenix performance. This movie took a lot of turns that just I wasn't expecting. It's very vibrant in its colors and just the way it presents itself to the audience. I did feel like it dragged a little bit, and the overall theme just didn't really connect with me as much as some of Paul Thomas Anderson's other films. But I still really had a good time with this movie. It shocked me along the way. I liked the performances. It was good. I then watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Shut up, get out of my face. I then rewatched Santa Claus is Coming to Town. In my opinion, the best stop-motion classic Christmas film. It's just I love the retelling of Santa's backstory. I think it's really cute, really charming. Has a lot of personality to this film. Every character really shines. Every character has a moment to shine. I love Topper. It's just a really fun movie that I am always so excited to revisit every year. I love this one a lot. I then rewatched Mickey's Christmas Carol. Again, absolutely stunning. I love this movie so much. It's short. I love the voice acting. It's a Christmas Carol. It's just a Christmas Carol. I don't have to say anything more. The story of A Christmas Carol is great, and I love the Mickey Mouse version of it. Done. I then rewatched the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Look, I know this is an insane take. I know people hate this movie. And you know what? I'll never understand why. I think Jim Carrey gives one of the best comedic performances of all time as the Grinch. Like, talking about born to play a role, Jim Carrey was born to play the Grinch, and then somehow 4 years later gave one of the most emotionally devastating performances I've ever seen, which we'll talk about later. But I love this film. I love Max so much in this movie. It's hilarious. It expands on the world and the characters. I love this film so much. It is bad at a lot of points, but I cannot help but love it. And then rewatched The Little Drummer Boy. It's fine. It's good. I like the ending. Everyone looks a little creepy. Say that much. It looks kind of scary. But you know, it's a good story. It's fine. Yeah, I like it. I then watched The Boy and the Heron. I'm gonna mark. This is a quote, okay? I'm quoting this. This is happening. February of 2024 is going to be the month of animation. I am only watching animated films in February. That's it. I'm gonna watch every Studio Ghibli and rank them all. And I love The Boy and the Heron. This was such a fun surprise because, you know, I wasn't a fan of Howl's Moving Castle, and My Neighbor Totoro was great, but not amazing, and, you know, Spirited Away wasn't a 5-star. I was iffy going into this, but you know what? I came out thinking it's easily one of my favorite Ghiblis out of the 5 I've seen. Miyazaki just can turn anything into a creative world and just make it so immersive, while also keeping its original darker themes like grief and death in this film, and it's so stunning. I don't know, I loved all the characters in this film. They were all really endearing. I had a great time with this. All the twists and turns this movie took, it was a great time. I loved it a lot. I then rewatched The Truman Show. I mean, it is literally in my top 5 films of all time. I only watched it because we watched it in my English class for the last day of school before we got out of break. And I was like, that's so lit. I mean, it's in my top 5. So I love it. It's perfect. Jim Carrey gives one of my favorite performances. The world building is insane. Everything about it is flawless. Like, I don't have a nitpick. It is a flawless film from top to bottom. And I watched it almost a year ago. So decided to celebrate it. Then watched The Anatomy of a Fall. Go watch my top 10 best. I go a lot more in depth because this movie has so much to say about it, because I think it's a masterpiece. I think Sandra Hüller gives easily a top 5 performance of the year. Like, the more I think about her performance, the more I love it. The battle of morals in this film is absolutely insane. The courtroom scenes, the family drama mixed in, it's absolutely a must watch for anybody. I cannot recommend this film enough. I then watched Talk to Me. Again, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies nowadays, but honestly, this one was again solid. Now, I didn't love it as much as other people did, and I think that's just because I don't like horror movies that much. I mean, my history with horror movies is these were like my earliest films I watched. I watched Scream when I was like 7, and ever since then I loved them for a long time, and then over the recent years I've kind of fallen out of love because they're all the frickin' same and all boring, and I just don't like him anymore. But this one had a good story. I really liked the ending. The ending of this one was very, very good. A couple really good scenes, great montage in the middle that it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good movie. Probably the best horror movie of 2023, maybe. Yeah, if I can remember correctly. I don't know. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. And then rewatched Elf. A little bit more potty humor in here that I kind of forgot about, that doesn't really work for me anymore. But all in all, I still love this thing. I still think it's absolutely hilarious. Will Ferrell gives such a great performance as Buddy. I mean, again, born to play that role. Let's be real. It's so charming. I know I've said all Christmas movies are just charming to me. They're so endearing. I love Elf. Like, I get it if you don't like this movie, but also I look at you weird if you don't, because it's just such a cute movie. I like it a lot. Then rewatched Punch Drunk Love. I'm going to be talking about this probably a lot in my PTA ranked, so all I'm going to say is, yep, it's a top 10er. It's a top 10. Moving on, it's flawless in every single aspect. Then watched Hard 8. This might come as a bit of a shock, but I actually kind of loved this thing. I know many people consider this to be PTA's worst film, and I wholeheartedly disagree. I'm not going to tell you what I think his worst film is, but I don't think it's this one. It's just a lot of fun. You could definitely tell that it's a first film, and I can see a lot of people trying to imitate this and fail, but I had a good time with it. I think John C. Reilly and Philip Baker Hall does a good job. Yes, I was right. It is Philip Baker Hall. Okay. I think they do a good job. I love their chemistry and the relationship between these two characters. Samuel L. Jackson's also really threatening and menacing in this film, as he is in a lot of films. I really liked my time with this. It flew by, never dragged. I honestly really enjoyed it. Then rewatched Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. If you don't know what these two films are, it's basically just an anthology. You get 3 short stories in this one that all kind of center around themes about Christmas and family, and I love this one. The Donald Duck one's a lot of fun, but it also has a great message about caring about the people around you instead of, what actual, like the presents and the holiday itself. But, take time to spend time with your family. The Goofy and Max one is my favorite one out of these 3. I love Goofy so much, and Goofy and Max's relationship in this is so nice to see. There's so many great scenes in this, like when they take the dinner over to the poor family. Really well done. And then the final one with Mickey and Minnie is really good. I only have one really big flaw with this, and that you don't really see Minnie's side of the story. You really only see Mickey's side, which I get that it's kind of supposed to be from Mickey's side, but when the ending kind of comes, it kind of feels out of nowhere. It feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere because you don't see Minnie do the thing that sets up the ending. You only see Mickey do it, and it's like, okay, alright. But banger tunes, the harmonica scenes are great. Stinky Pete's hilarious. I mean, I love this. And then rewatched Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. I heavily prefer the 2D animation of the first one and not the 3D animation of this one. I just think it looks a bit off with Mickey Mouse characters. I just think it looks a lot better in 2D. But that's besides the point, although not really, because that's why I like the first one a lot more. And also, I think some of the stories in this one kind of aren't good. I don't really like the ice skating one. It's kind of boring, not really. I mean, if Daisy Minnie kind of did nothing wrong. It's all kind of Daisy's fault. And then all of a sudden, she says, I'm sorry. And Minnie's like, yay! Best friends. Like, bro. The workshop one is, the messages in that one is kind of like all towards the end and doesn't really build up to anything, to be honest. But I honestly love it. It's a lot of fun. The Max and Goofy one, while nowhere near as good as the first Max and Goofy one in the first film, it's still nice. The song is nice. It's a nice thing, and I've said nice a lot there. And then the Donald Hot Chocolate one is easily my favorite just because it's hilarious. The messages are not really there in my opinion. I just love it so much. The way Donald fantasizes about hot chocolate throughout the whole thing. I think it's hysterical. And then the Mickey and Pluto one is not really good in my opinion because Mickey, again, kind of did nothing wrong here. Pluto kind of wrecked Mickey's whole house, and I think it's justified for Mickey to say, hey Pluto, get out and go to your doghouse. That's all he did, and Pluto's like, and he runs away. It's stupid. It's a good film. I like it. There's a couple great moments, but yeah, all in all, it's all right. Oh, and then I watched Magnolia. This is a 3-hour epic of a bunch of characters and their storylines all kind of separated throughout the film until they all kind of meet and end at the end. I personally love it. I think this is PTA's magnum opus, maybe aside from one other film, which we'll be talking about soon. But I think this film is brilliant. The ending is, oh man, so good. All the acting performances are great. It's awesome. It's Magnolia. It's a banger. What do you want me to say? And then rewatched Charlie Brown Christmas. Again, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say that word again, but it's charming. The part where Linus recites what Christmas is all about is honestly probably my favorite part. It's just so beautiful in every way. I love Charlie Brown. He's so real. It's also absolutely hilarious. There's a lot of moments in here that I actually laughed at like as a kid, and I think I like it now growing up more than I did as a kid, because there's a lot of like adult themes in this little short Charlie Brown that I think don't really hit you as hard if you watch them as a kid than if you watch them as an older person. I love it. I can understand why people give this a 5, but yeah. I then rewatched The Polar Express. God, this movie's ugly. I can't believe I loved this as a kid, because rewatching it even last year, I even lowered my score from last year because God, this movie's so ugly. God, it's so easy to just take a scene, any scene, and just be like, okay, this is what's wrong with it. But again, I have nostalgia for it, so it has decent scenes. I kind of hate every character, and I hate Tom Hanks' stupid, annoying voice. I will say though, he gets busy on the mic on Hot Chocolate, so there's that. If it wasn't for schools always playing this and giving out hot chocolate, I probably would have hated this movie as a kid as well. But that's also probably a lie. I probably would have, because I was stupid. I then watched An Elf Story. Do I really have to talk about this? It's a childhood one. When I got An Elf on the Shelf as a kid, we always watched this. Only thing I'm gonna say is I cannot believe Zart voices Miles freaking Morales now. That is the biggest character arc I have ever seen in my whole life. I then watched The Big Lebowski. Again, I want to watch all the Coen Brothers movies by the end of 2024, so expect their ranking to be sometime in 2024. But I kind of loved this movie. I don't think it's as funny as some people say it is, but the thing that really sells it is the characters. I think they're all really fun and entertaining to watch. I love Donnie, I love Walter, I love Jeff Bridges, the dude. It's so funny. There are a lot of funny moments in this movie that genuinely had me laughing. Sometimes the story felt a bit too convoluted for me, but I understand why people love it. I do love it. I think it's great. I then rewatched A Year Without a Santa Claus. The Miser Brothers Carrie. Need I say more? Yeah, I love Jingle and Jangle so much. Jangle. Yeah, it's Jangle. Jangle has so many lines that just crack me up. He's so funny. Mrs. Claus is a really good, strong lead in this film as well. Just a really interesting, really good film. I love it a lot. It's a childhood favorite of mine. It was always my favorite growing up. Not so much my favorite anymore, but I still love it a lot. I then watched Maestro. Man, the amount of negative reviews that this movie has is like, it's honestly mind-boggling, because yeah, sure, while the script does lack some stuff and it does have problems with it, I still think this is a beautiful and tragic story that I don't think Bradley Cooper was trying to tell the story of Leonard the composer. I think he was just trying to tell a family story. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong, but that's what I took away from the movie. I didn't exactly go into this movie wanting to learn about a composer. I didn't. I kind of just wanted to watch this movie because it was supposed to be, you know, Bradley Cooper was going to win an Oscar, so I wanted to watch it. Walked away really satisfied. Carey Mulligan is fantastic in this movie, of course. She dominates every scene she's in. Great direction from Cooper. I honestly loved it. I then rewatched The Holdovers. It's perfect. It's flawless. I have nothing wrong with it. No, nothing bad to say, nothing good to say, because, I mean, I have so many good things to say about it. I just don't really want to, because it'd be a waste of time, because it's just a perfect movie. Paul Giamatti, Dominique Sissa, Davine Joy Randolph. all just give like some of my favorite performances. I think Dominique Sissa is getting heavily underlooked in everything, and it'll break my heart when he doesn't get nominated for an Oscar and the other two do, because in my opinion, he's just as good as Paul Giamatti in this film. Da'Vine Joy Randolph has that Oscar in the bag in my eyes, and if Dominique Sissa does not get nominated for a single thing, I know we got nominated for a Critics' Choice Awards, which I am ecstatic about, but for an actorial debut, he smokes every scene he's in, and I love this film. It's so tragic, so beautiful, so heartwarming. I cannot say and not praise this movie more than I already have. Go watch the freaking Holdovers, man. I then rewatched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Again, this is another movie where I can just quote so many fantastic lines. So many. My personal new favorite on rewatch that had me dying was, "He worked really hard on it, Granddad. So do washing machines." Like, that is the funniest delivery. I'm sorry. It's Chevy Chase is great in this movie. I'm sorry, and I loved a couple of years ago learning that the little kid in this, Russ, is actually Big Bang Theory Leonard, which it's hilarious. You know, not all parts work, but it's still just a really funny movie in my eyes. I'll always love rewatching this one. I then rewatched Shrek the Halls. It's fine. It's good. It's hilarious at times. It's Shrek the Halls. What do you want me to say? I then rewatched It's a Wonderful Life. Man, I need to make a whole video dedicated to this movie, don't I? This is without a doubt my favorite film of all time. It's not even really close. I have the poster right here. It's gonna corrupt something, but like, I have it. You can kind of see it. There it is, right there. So I freaking love everything about the movie. Jimmy Stewart gives genuinely a top 5 performance for me. Every scene he's in, especially in the last 45 minutes to an hour, is so incredible. Just a beautiful film about life, and just, oh my gosh. Words can't describe how much this movie means to me. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And if you don't watch the black and white version, you're a troll, okay? You are a bum if you don't watch the black and white. You're a bum if you watch the color version, okay? Blows my mind that how this flopped, and also how Jimmy Stewart didn't win the Oscar. Get a load of that. Come on. And then watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Really funny. John Candy. What an actor. R.I.P. because, man, he is great. I kind of liked this a lot. It was really funny. Kind of got on my nerves because of how awful everything went wrong. How awfully everything went. Kind of was like, wow. That is an insane stretch of imagination, but I kind of loved the heck out of this thing. Yeah, it's funny. Then watched L.A. Confidential. Oh man, Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe, the duo that we never knew we needed, and yet somehow we absolutely needed and we love. Honestly, just a stellar movie on mystery, suspense, tension, just all in this film. So many shocking twists and turns that I would have never seen coming. It's great. The direction is great. The ending is great. A bit predictable, but predictable sometimes. There's some moments where I was like, and then some moments where I was like, called it, but what are you gonna do? I then watched The Guilty, and no, I haven't seen the original, and no, I'm not going to, because Jake Gyllenhaal on top. I love Jake Gyllenhaal, especially in this movie, where this is basically a box movie where it takes place in one location the whole movie. Really good twists and turns that I didn't see coming. Good voice acting on the people on the phone, and then Jake Gyllenhaal, of course, gives a great performance here. Really intense, really good. Just not one that I would ever think about again, really. I then watched Wonka. It's a fine movie. It's a lot of fun. Timothée Chalamet does a good job here. He sings nice. The balloon scene had me floating with how beautiful it was. However, I'm sorry. Jeremy Allen White should have 100% at least been considered seeing as he looks. I don't know if him and Gene Wilder have any relation to each other, but they look exactly alike, except Jeremy Allen White is just younger. It would have been perfect. What an opportunity missed, but God. Yeah, I still liked it. It's good. Not really ever gonna think about it again though. I then watched the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and yes, I did say watched, not rewatched, because I had never ever seen this film up until now. Somehow, of course, I'd seen bits and pieces my whole life, but I've never sat through and watched the entire film. And all I can say is Gene Wilder gives a possible top 10 performance of all time for me. He's absolutely amazing as this quick-witted, very on the edge man, where you feel like he can snap at any moment, which I love. I love all the side characters, and of course Charlie and Grandpa Joe. It's all so nice. The creativity this movie has, all the different rooms and scenes just fill me with excitement as I was a kid. I love this movie. It was excellent. I loved it so much. I then watched Boogie Nights. This is my last Paul Thomas Anderson I had to watch, and what an end. Like, actually, what an end. What the heck. I genuinely think Mark Wahlberg's wiener is talked about or is the focal point of the story for at least 60% of the film. I think that's just hysterical. All the side characters are really intriguing. I love Don Cheadle. Oh my God, his character and his performance in this movie is so laid back, but also so sad and so inspiring at the same time. I love his character so much. Every time we cut to him, I was like, yes, more Don. So many great themes. It's so dark and twisted, but I love the 70s aesthetic and music in this film. It's great. How could you not love Boogie Nights? It's incredible. I then watched Saltburn. I'm gonna sound like every other critic who doesn't like this movie, but it was so close to good. It was so close to being a good movie, but they just couldn't help themselves. They were like, we need to make this a super edgy teen movie, and we gotta get shock value and make it super edgy, and God, it completely ruined it. You were so close, because I think the premise and the execution, aside from a few things at the ending that weren't supposed to be edgy, but it could have been even great, but they just added scenes like the bathtub scene and the dirt scene and the vampire scene. Like, why? Why? There's no point. You just took me out of it. But Barry Keoghan, I don't know, and Jacob Elordi do great here. Again, you were this close. You were this close, but you just couldn't do it. Sad story. I then rewatched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The 27th of December marks the 1-year anniversary that I watched the movie, and I was like, I have to rewatch it because, yeah, this movie is the movie I think I've watched the most times in a year. Aside from Joker when it first came out, but yeah. Oh man, I have like so many different month videos where I talk about this film. Jim Carrey gives, oh man, he is absolutely devastating in this role, where there are just so many scenes where I'm just like, that is heartbreaking. Kate Winslet also, I mean, both of these two, I know I say this a lot of times, but these two definitely give a top 10 performance for me, 100%. It's flawless. It is flawless filmmaking, flawless direction, flawless writing, flawless performances, flawless execution, flawless story. It is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. I want to get a poster for it so bad. Movie means a lot to me because I didn't actually love it when I first watched it. If you even read my first review on Letterboxd, I was debating on giving it a 5. I was like, yeah, I mean, there's things I didn't like, but then, yeah, I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, it's perfect, because it's perfect. Go watch this freaking movie if you haven't already. Of course, that is if you like romance, like good romance films, then watch this. I then watched Whisper of the Heart. Yeah, sorry guys, don't get mad at me, but I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. And of course, I totally understand the appeal behind this movie. I watched Shea Frillis's hour-and-a-half long analysis on why this is Ghibli's masterpiece, but I just couldn't connect with it personally. And I think that's this movie's biggest negative for me, is that if you're not connecting with it on a personal level, you don't really have a lot here. I mean, you got really fun and engaging characters, but what, I can't even remember her name, what the main girl goes through, I just can't really connect to. Again, there are great scenes in here that just absolutely enhanced me in this story, but man, it kind of blew it for me. In during the whole art writing section, I was just like, okay, yeah, I get it. Art in writing is hard, but like, come on, let's move on. Again, there are so many scenes. I think this is a great film. I just personally didn't enjoy it as much, and I hate to say that because I totally understand why someone could love this. I guess it just wasn't for me. Then watched Poor Things. Oh God, this movie, what do I even say about this movie? Yorgos Lanthimos is just insane, man. I mean, I've only seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I mean, that movie was phenomenal, and so is this. Mark Ruffalo, man. The more I think about Mark Ruffalo's performance, the more I'm in love with it. He just kills every scene he's in. And of course, Emma Stone gives easily the most dynamic performance I've seen in recent years. Sorry, my microphone is like, I just think it's a very realized film. It's a very independent film, if that's a word, I don't know. The theme of curiosity, let's just say, is very present, and people might not like that, but it personally wasn't that big of an issue for me. Sure, I did feel like it was a bit too excessive at times, but I still enjoyed this film, and I still loved it. I then rewatched There Will Be Blood. Lord, I am sorry for giving this a 3.5 when I first watched it. It does not deserve that at all. In fact, this is a borderline 4.5 for me. I think it is a masterpiece on rewatch. And probably PTA's magnum opus. I mean, this is a lot of people's pick for his best film. I personally obviously don't think it is, but I can understand why someone would be. Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano give two absolutely phenomenal performances here. I mean, Lewis absolutely 100% deserved the Oscar. So many absolutely gut-wrenching and just edge-of-your-seat moments that are just so intense and brutal, and it is great. A couple plot lines and things just didn't really work for me, like the point of Henry. I still don't really understand the point of his character at all. And now some nerd is going to tell me what the actual point of his character was. Believe me, I don't care. You're not going to convince me that his character was necessary, because he wasn't. I love it. I think it's great. And I wrapped things up with a rewatch of Oldboy. I have it on my wall. If that does not indicate how much I love this freaking movie, I don't know what will. It's flawless storytelling at its finest. Honestly, it is storytelling at its finest. It is messed up, it is disturbing, but it is peak storytelling. I don't know what else to say. Odesu and Lee Woo-jin are two of the best characters, in my opinion, that have ever been written. Ever. And it just, oh man. Throw this on the list of movies that I need to make a full video towards, because there's so much I want to say about this film, but I've already been filming for approximately 44 minutes, and I kind of just want to be done because the Golden Globe starts soon. And yeah, that's what I watched in December. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to, of course. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, or whenever you're watching this. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!